So good evening, everyone. It's nice to see some happy faces and so many of you, your names popping up. We are very happy to present our 5th annual New and International Welcome event. And tonight we're going to have a little bit of information shared from Dr. Holman, our school superintendent. We will have a little bit of information around PTA. We will have some information from the Lake Washington Schools Foundation and about families relocating and how to make that transition a little bit easier for your family. And then we'll have some independent information from various school district members. And then we'll have an opportunity for you to ask some questions. So we really want to welcome you and say thank you for being here. First, Dr. Holman. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we're happy to have your time.
Great. Well, thank you, and I'm so glad to be here this evening. And welcome to all of our new families to Lake Washington School District. We know anytime you transition your life, be it a new school, be it a new location, is challenging. What we know right now in the midst of a global pandemic is uniquely challenging. And so we just want to recognize that as you're transitioning to Lake Washington School District, you have navigated so many of those unique challenges. And so, Shannon, I think you have control of the presentation. And so really tonight, I want to focus on a number of aspects of our school district. And when I thought about speaking to you this evening, I thought about our work really is about serving all students. And so I want to put in context that the work that we do as a school district really is about serving each and every student, be it a student that's been here for 10 years or a student that just arrived yesterday. And so I want to start off by talking about our mission and our vision as a school district. Our mission is about each student graduating prepared to lead a rewarding and responsible life as a contributing member of our community and greater society. And when we say each student graduating, we actually mean each student. 100% of students is our goal. And we work towards that absolutely every day, whether your child is 3 years old in a preschool classroom or you have a senior in high school in one of our schools. For us, it's about giving students and providing students with the requisite skills and experiences for them to be able to achieve graduation. But it's not just about graduation. It's also about our vision of students actually being future ready. And so when you think about students graduating, that's an excellent milestone in life. But if we haven't prepared students to be able to make decisions for their life, then we haven't fully met that mission and achieved our vision of preparing students for college, the global workplace, and personal success. And when we think about college, it's 2-year, 4-year college or university. It's a trade school. It's going into the military. It's whatever that next step in life for a student is, we want them to be prepared for that. We also want them to be prepared for the global workplace, knowing that our work settings are globalized and international. And it is important that our students have those experiences all through their schooling experience so that as they go in to the workplace, they're able to communicate and collaborate, work with people that are different than them, maybe work with people that have different viewpoints and opinions as them. That is an important part of being future ready. And then personal success, making sure that our students understand what drives them, what their passions are as they go out into the world. And our mission and vision is grounded in our commitment to equity, ensuring that all of our students have access to academic success. We've identified through our data that we actually do have opportunity and achievement gaps within our school district. Not all students are having the same level of success that we want for all students, and that's a high bar of excellence for every student. And so for us, it's about addressing and making sure that our working and learning environments are equitable and inclusive, and that it's for all students, our families, our staff, and our communities. I do want to take a minute to reference that we are addressing school in the midst of a global pandemic. And this pandemic has ebbed and flowed over the last 18 to 20 months, and we have had to adjust with that over time. And so when I think about our response to the pandemic, it's been about kind of three very specific categories that have had to change over time. Prevention of the spread of the virus in our school settings and working with our local health department, partnering with them, making sure that we are implementing the required health and safety measures within our schools. And that is all the way from making sure that we are implementing masking in our school settings to providing access to our families and students and staff to the vaccine, knowing that the governor has implemented a vaccine requirement for our staff. And so going through those processes with our staff. But prevention is the primary strategy to address this pandemic. But we also know that there are times when COVID-19 does present on our campuses. And so we have to have a thorough plan to be able to respond to that actively and immediately. And through our healthcare professionals here on site, our school administrators, our district administrators, our health room office professionals, all across the board, every staff member understands their role in the response to a COVID-19 case to ensure that we reduce the spread of the virus, contain that, and students are able to move forward. And then when we think about forward planning, we are always talking with, learning from our public health partners, making sure that as we look at the plans we have in place, that we're adjusting those to make sure that they meet the needs of our students, our families, and really our organization as we think about the large nature of our district and ensuring that we have consistent plans across the school district. In the midst of a pandemic, we're still thinking about how do we do our work in the best possible manner. And so we do have a strategic plan that is located on our website that I would encourage you to take a look at. There's 5 distinct categories of that plan that I just want to highlight briefly, knowing that the pandemic has taken much of our focus and attention over the past 18 to 20 months, but we still are committed to ensuring that we focus on a number of areas. Academic success for our students, well-being for our students and staff is probably more important now than ever before, knowing that the impacts of the pandemic are both child, youth, and adult issues. When we think about community engagement, we have a rich community that through our partnership with our community, we believe that is how we achieve excellence in education. Hiring and maintaining an excellent staff is part of our commitment, ensuring that we're focused on diversifying our staff, that bringing in excellent and diverse individuals into our schools to serve our students, into our district, to serve our overall community is a critical component. And then as a public entity, using our resources effectively, knowing that we have finite resources and using those strategically to be able to accomplish our goals with our community is essential. As a district, we are a large organization. We currently, as of October 1, 2020, serve just over 30,000 students. But I want to put that in context a little bit because we are a large school district on the east side of Lake Washington. And so if you go to the next slide, we are a district that serves 76 square miles on the east side of Lake Washington proper. We have 56 schools within our school district. We have 3 distinct cities that we serve, the full cities of Kirkland and Redmond and part of Sammamish, but we actually have addresses in Bellevue, Woodinville, unincorporated King County that all make up the Lake Washington School District. And that 30,000 student number does make us the 2nd largest school district in the state of Washington, second only to Seattle Public Schools. That growth has occurred in the last 10 to 12 years. We've experienced rapid growth over that time, and that is something that we've had to respond to when we think about the need to build new schools, to ensure that we're adjusting spaces across our school district. And so that is something that is in our DNA, is making sure that we provide appropriate spaces for our students. When we think about the number of schools that we have in our school district, and our level directors are going to speak to this in much more detail later in the presentation, but we have both neighborhood schools and what we call choice schools that students can select into and apply to. But overall, we have 33 elementary schools, 14 middle schools, and 9 high schools that make up the Lake Washington School District. And so with that, I just want to say welcome to Lake Washington School District. I hope this first month of school, albeit a challenging month to navigate school, as we had a return of almost the majority of all of our students to in-person learning. We hope that you have started to understand your school, your classrooms, you're getting to know your teachers. And tonight really is about providing more context for our school district. And with that, I'll hand it back to Brandy. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Holland, for sharing a little bit about the strategic plan and where we're moving. Next up, I would like to introduce Yumna Green. She is the current co-president of the Lake Washington Ptsa Council.
Thank you so much, Brandy. Hi, everyone. My name is Yumna Green. As Brandy has said, I am one of the co-presidents of Lake Washington Ptsa Council. Brandy is the other one. I want to welcome you tonight, not just to the school district, but also to the state. For some of you, the move to Washington is, different state, but for others, it's a different country. For myself, I actually was 20 years ago, new to Washington State. I was born in South Africa, so I understand a little bit about what you are dealing with when it comes to transitions. And I want to tell you that even though I did not move during a pandemic, a lot of the things that you are navigating are things that I've navigated too. So I understand how you're feeling. Tonight, there's going to be a lot of information. I hope that you find it helpful. I will start us off talking about PTA, what PTA is, give you a little overview of it, how it can support you, your student, and your family, and how you can support PTA. So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second here. Okay, can everybody see the presentation? Brandy, can you confirm that you can see the presentation, please?
We can see your presentation.
Wonderful, thank you. All right. So, up on the screen, you can see my email address. It's also Brandy's email address. If you have any questions around what I've presented tonight, that is the email that you will use to contact us. So let's talk a little bit about this acronym PTA. You'll notice that throughout my presentation, I will use PTA or PTSA. They are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. Here in the United States, we have a philosophy that is backed by research that children thrive when schools, families, and communities work together to support our students. And that is exactly what PTA is about. It's about that partnership, all of us working together to ensure that all students achieve their full potential. We are very fortunate that in Lake Washington School District, we have strong and thriving PTAs that advocate every day for all of our students, and they provide an amazing array of programs and services. So let's find out more about PTA. Up on the screen, you will see a little breakdown of how PTA is structured. You will also see some logos of PTAs in Lake Washington School District, as well as the Washington State PTA logo and the National PTA logo. As you can see, every PTA has its own brand and its own style, but we all have the same mission: to advocate for every child. We want our children to be successful and to have the support that they need in order to achieve their best. We also want to make sure that in addition to students being academically successful, that our children are socially and emotionally cared for, and that all our students and all our families feel included, feel connected, and feel supported. This welcome event that you are attending tonight is a partnership between our school district and our council PTA. About 5 years ago, the council PTA came up with an idea of hosting an event to welcome new families to the district. And we spoke to the school district, and here we are 5 years later. This is our 5th annual welcome event, and throughout the years, we have received lots of positive feedback as far as our families are concerned. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you too will find this helpful. So PTA is, it's not just a singular thing, right? Your local PTA at your school is going to do a lot for the families there, but it's not an entity that exists by itself. It is actually part of a network. In our school district, we have 44 local PTAs, and it is true that for each of you, you're going to be interacting primarily with the PTA that's in your school. However, the 44 PTAs in our schools together form the district-wide PTA, which is the Lake Washington PTSA Council. That's the organization that Brandy and I are co-presidents of, and the two of us, together with our board, provide support, training, resources, etc. to those 44 PTAs. The next level up is the Washington State PTA that supports PTAs across the state of Washington. And then finally, we have the National PTA that supports PTAs across the country. As you can see, PTA is a very, very old organization. It has been around for a long time. It is well established, and it is a trusted component of the American education system. So up on the slide in front of you is the broad mission statement of PTA. There are many words up there, but basically what it says is that PTA is here to support students and to support families. Now you might be reading that and wondering, how does that translate to what happens in my local school? Well, let's have a look-see. Every PTA is an independent organization. So yes, there is affiliation with the state and the national PTA, but how your PTA supports your community depends on things like whether you are at an elementary school, a middle school, or a high school, and it also depends on what the unique needs of your community is. So it's going to look a little bit different from one school to the next. Up on the slide, we have two flyers of PTA events. One of them was a dance party for families. The other was a STEM night for families. Two events, but both bringing community together, having families come in and learn something. I know that for some of you, you come from areas where maybe parents and guardians aren't really involved in the schools. Maybe they're not even encouraged to participate in schools. I want you to know that here in Lake Washington School District, parents and guardians are welcomed in our schools. We want to hear from you. We want you to ask questions. We want you to participate, and we want you to engage. And it's true that over the past year, that had to be a little bit different because of the pandemic. You know, we couldn't necessarily have adults in the buildings like we typically would. But as we slowly but surely get back to what we call normal, you're going to have more and more opportunities to participate and to be in those school buildings. I also want to highlight the fact that whether or not we could be physically present in schools, we still need our families to engage, right? Schools still want to hear from our families. PTAs still need our families to engage and participate. So we encourage you to reach out to your PTAs and to become a part of your PTA family. I love this slide. It talks about PTA providing more, and we have some examples of some of the things that PTA has done in the past. There we have a picture advertising the PTA Reflections competition. That is a national competition. Students can progress from their local PTA level to the council PTA level to the state and all the way up to the national PTA. Reflections is an art competition, so if your student is artistically inclined, we encourage them to participate. Many of your local PTAs are going to be advertising their Reflections programs in the next month, and typically the submissions of those pieces of art are due at the end of October or the beginning of November. Find out from your PTA when that is, and please encourage your students to participate. You also see an advertisement for a PTSA spelling bee. Some of the other things that PTA has done are things like movie nights or cultural nights like International Night. We've had ice cream socials at PTA. We had things like STEM night or science night, science fairs. There's so many things that PTA helps as far as bringing the community together. PTA also provides funding for things like principal coffees or teacher grants, teacher stipends, after-school enrichment clubs. Talk to your PTA and find out what it is that they provide and how you can participate. I'd like to let you know that your PTA, regardless of what programs they provide, is working really, really hard. And they want you to participate. They want you to come to their events. Our PTA leaders are really proud of the work that they do. And the programs that PTA provides for our schools, they wouldn't be there without PTA. So please participate. Some of the things that we often hear from our families that are new to the district is that they don't know how to participate. Well, I'd like to encourage you to reach out and ask. I'm sure that they will find something for you to do. So we've spoken a lot about what PTA does for the community. Now let's talk a little bit about what you can do to support the work that PTA does. Generally, there are three sort of big ways in which you can support PTA. The first is joining PTA. And often we get asked the question, well, why should I join? Well, PTA is a member organization, and your membership has your voice to the advocacy work that is done at our regional and state PTA. Advocacy that works on behalf of students across the state. More members means more advocacy, more delegates at Olympia, and more time with legislators. In addition to the advocacy, when you join, there are certain member benefits that come with PTA membership. Some of those benefits are local to your PTA, for example, voting in your PTA's meetings, and other benefits are benefits that come from the state PTA and the national PTA, like some of the discounts that are mentioned on this slide. Before I move on to the next slide, I'd like to remind you that PTA membership is not just for parents. Anyone who supports the work of PTA can be a PTA member. That means aunts, uncles, grandparents, neighbors, community members. If you love the work that PTA does, you can be a PTA member. The second big way in which PTA can use your support is donations. I'd like to take a moment to explain the Pass the Hat donation drive. It's something that I had to learn when I moved to this country. Pass the Hat basically just means a direct donation, a monetary donation. I think it comes from a time way back in the past when donations were literally, received in a hat that was passed around the room. We no longer do that, but your PTA needs donations to fund the many programs that they do. There are many, all of our PTA donations are tax deductible. So if you do give a donation to PTA, you can get a tax write-off at tax time. And many of the companies that are employers in our area will match the donations of their employees. So if you work for a company that will match donations to a 501c3, your PTA donations can be matched. The third way in which you can support the work of PTA is by volunteering. The success to PTSA depends on our volunteers. We cannot do the work that we do without volunteers. Every program that your PTA runs, whether it's the Reflections Art Competition that we spoke about earlier, or whether it is the Spelling Bee, the Welcome Back Coffee, those all need volunteers. Something that I've often come across from families is that they're not quite sure if they have the skills needed to volunteer. Well, I'm here to tell you that you do have the skills. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree to volunteer. You don't have to speak English perfectly to volunteer. There are so many barriers that we can think of that would make us not the perfect volunteer. Well, I haven't found a single PTA who has turned away a volunteer. So if you would like to help, please reach out to your PTA. They would be more than happy to find a way for you to help. There are also many, many different volunteer opportunities, and they all come with different time commitments. So if you don't have much time, don't let that stop you from reaching out, because I'm sure that your PTA can find some small way in which you can help. Before we move on, I'd like to point out that volunteering, donating, and joining, if you can do all three, thank you very much. If you can only do 2 of the 3, thank you very much. And if you can only do 1 of the 3, thank you very much. It is not required for families to do all 3. We will take whatever it is that you can provide. We like to say that PTA is both a noun as well as a verb. And we would like to encourage you to join PTA, to engage with our programs, to engage with our committees, because we know from research that when families are involved in volunteering, it leads to increased academic performance for our students. We would also love to have your voice included in our PTA, especially if you come from a culture or a country that is different, because we believe that having many perspectives is what helps our PTAs be so successful. So please do join us. In closing, if you want to know how to get involved, we encourage you to go to your local PTA's website. Every PTA's website has a contact us button. Click it, contact your board of directors, ask them questions, subscribe to your PTA's newsletters, their Facebook pages. If you have Instagram or Twitter, follow them on those social media accounts, and go to your PTA meetings, ask questions, and get involved. For more resources and information, there are 3 websites up on the slide. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and at this time, I'll turn it back over to Brandy Comstock. Thank you.
Thank you, Yumna. And yes, we'd very much encourage you to get involved. Even if you can't volunteer, you can still be a member of your local PTA. Next up, I'd like to introduce Katie Phillips, who is the Executive Director of the Lake Washington Schools Foundation. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Brandy. Thank you for having me tonight, and welcome everybody. I don't do this regularly, so I believe my slideshow is showing. I've got a few minutes here tonight. I just want to share a little bit about a third organization in the community that you've just moved into, and we are Lake Washington Schools Foundation. We have a similar name to the school district, and that's because we were created, a nonprofit organization that was created specifically to serve the needs of students and families in this school district. So you'll hear us called LWSF, or the foundation, and know that we are a third organization who is working with the school district and the PTSAs to improve all students' emotional well-being, enhance their academic access, and essentially ensure that all students, we are working in alignment with the district to ensure that all students achieve their full potential. I am the one who's forwarding this. So I wanted to just also quickly just to congratulate you on your move to this area, wherever you've moved from. And we have, you've moved to a fantastic school district and a really great community. So please do lean into your local PTSAs and take advantage of the resources that you find at the school district. I think my cat's going to try to join. This is okay. Hopefully he won't. Anyway, yeah. So that's fun. Anyway, I should have known to put him in the rec room. So basically, we work directly with the school district to identify challenges facing students. And then we channel the power of the community to overcome those challenges. The difference between the foundation and the PTSAs and the district is that we work in areas where there may be unmet needs, and we channel community resources into those areas. Sometimes we'll pilot new programs in the district. Sometimes we will, work with the district and create a program that works in alignment with the work that they're already doing. So some of the areas that we work in to support in the Lake Washington School District are youth mental wellness and suicide prevention, mentoring and community engagement. We have a program that addresses food insecurity over the weekends, college application preparation, and we also do work in equity and inclusion. And then, like I said, we are here to be communicating with the district and the PTSAs to identify emerging student needs. I know there's a lot to digest tonight, so I'm going to go quickly. What I want you to remember is that that we are the third leg on the stool, so to speak, of people or organizations that are here to support you and your student. So ways that you can support the work that we do are to donate, to volunteer. You can consider becoming a school ambassador. You can participate in our events and programs. Please check out our website to see the different programs that we offer. And we also have some different fundraisers where we'll communicate usually via email. We have an event in the spring, our spring luncheon, which will most likely be virtual this year, that we would encourage you to think about paying attention to when those invites go out. I'm going to leave it at that. I know, like I said, there's a lot of information coming your way. And just want to thank you so much to have a few minutes of your time and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks so much, Brandy.
Thank you, Katie. And I just want to reiterate, this common phrase that we use is that the Lake Washington School District, the Lake Washington PTSA Council, and the Lake Washington Schools Foundation are basically three legs of a stool in working to support kids. So thank you for your work with the foundation, Katie. Next up, we'd like to introduce Denise Ehrlich. She is the founder of Always Forward Coaching and Consulting. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you, Brandy. Just a second. Let me share my screen and I'll start. Do you see my screen? Okay. Welcome everyone to Lake Washington School District. Welcome to Pacific Northwest. Welcome to the United States if you arrived from out of the country. I'm going to talk today about the challenges that you are facing or you may face in the future and how to overcome them. So I'm going to give you a lot of tips of how to overcome them, and not just tips that related to your kids, but also tips that related to you, because we know that you are part of a really important person in your kid's life. And we want to make sure that you are also taking care of yourself. When you move to the area, remember the time that you were so busy with trying to find a house, trying to find a school for your kids, a good school, trying to open an account in the bank, to have social security number, phone numbers. You had so many things that you needed to take care of. One of the things that we forget is that relocation is not just a physical move, and you need to take care of yourself. You need also to make sure that you're adjusting to the area, not just physically, but also emotionally and socially. And that's what I'm going to talk today. And hopefully I'll be able to provide you some tips that you can apply tonight or even starting tomorrow. One of the things that people need to understand is that when they are moving to a new area, even from state to state or from Western Washington to this area, and for sure when you're moving from a different country, what happens is that you're experiencing something that's called culture shock. You're coming to a different country or to a different area, and many things are unfamiliar. For some of you, the weather is unfamiliar. The language, if you don't speak in your country English as a first language, the customs, the values, the food is even different than what you're used to. The festival, the school, and how when you come to school, what do? How do the kids do they in United States, for example, they're standing outside in a line outside of the classroom. Maybe in your country it's different, and kids are just coming and sitting whenever they want to sit. So there are a lot of things that you need to get used to that are unfamiliar for you. And because of that, what happens is that a person is moving to adjustment process. And that can be different from each person, depends on the intensity on where you're from. But one of the things that is really important to understand is that this process, you have 4 stages that you're going through, and we all are experiencing them. So when I'll explain about the stages, think about where you are in the stages and remember that you're not alone, that other people will also experiencing this. And eventually, when you'll move from one stage, you'll move to another stage until you get to the stage of when you're feeling that United States is your second home. So let's start with the stages. The honeymoon stage. Remember, when this is a great stage when you're moving to a new country, when you're traveling even and going to a vacation, everything is so beautiful. You're taking your phone, your camera, and you're taking pictures of everything. You're sharing with everyone about how beautiful the area is, how amazing the people are. You're so happy. You're so positive. One of the things that I, for example, when I moved here to the area, I was shocked that you can buy a car in Costco. It's like you can buy everything in Costco. So many waterfalls. The weather was beautiful when I moved to the area. So everything is so beautiful, and everyone here are so polite, and things are different from my country. So this is what, when I moved to the area, I was in the honeymoon stage at the beginning, and you are probably went through the honeymoon stage or are still in the honeymoon stage. But as marriage happened, the honeymoon eventually ends, and you get to the next step. The next stage is the anxiety and the frustration stage. When you feel frustrated trying to understand how things are working here. And over here, for example, at the beginning of the honeymoon stage, I thought that everyone are very polite. Now I feel that everyone are too polite, that they're not really care about me. I don't understand a lot of acronyms. For example, what is LWSD? Who is L? What is Blue Friday? There are a lot of things that I don't understand, and because of that, because you don't understand them, you feel frustrated, you feel anxious, and not just that. What happened is that you may feel one of these, or even more than that, or things that are not here. We start to criticize the local customs and the way that people are doing things here. We really miss home. We really idolize how things are at home so great compared to what they are here. You're trying to isolate yourself. You feel really lonely. You don't have a lot of energy. You may even feel things physically. You'll have pain in your body. We know that our mind and body are connected. And one of the things that I want to tell you, if you are in this stage, that it's only temporary. What you feel is just temporarily. And over time, you'll move to the next stage. And the next stage is that adjustment stage. When you beginning to feel like yourself again, you're starting to develop a routine. You're starting to understand more what is expected from you. You're starting to understand people more. And you have less negative reaction because of that to local culture. For example, the first time that I drove here without the GPS was like, wow. I got where I wanted to get without getting lost. So there are a lot of things that you probably can think about that few months ago you didn't know how to do things, but now you're more familiar. And this is the adjustment stage. The next stage is the acceptance stage. In this stage, you feel that your home is the second home. When you're driving and, for example, and taking your kids, you may say, let's go home. And you really feel that this is home. So it doesn't mean in this stage that you're going to completely understand the American culture. I'm here, I moved from Israel almost 11 years ago, and still there are a few things that that's once in a while happening and I'm like, I didn't know that, or I didn't understand it completely, and that's fine. In acceptance stage where you are not expected to really be as a local, and I'll talk about it and how unique you are and how you need to be proud of yourself, and I'll talk about that soon enough. So how can we help you move from the frustration stage, from the anxiety stage to the next stage, to acceptance, to adjustment more easily? I'm here for you here to share about tips how to do it. So let's just look at the diagram of the stages just to see, and I have here a question, what stage are you in? So think about that, write to yourself what stage you are in, but also write to yourself the next stages. So you'll know that eventually you'll move to the next step until you get to acceptance stage. So how can we help you adjust more easily? There are a few things that you can do. Try to create a community, a new community for you and for yourself and for your kids. The new community, if you're from out of the country, try to find people from your country so you can get connected with them. But also don't limit it yourself to people that speak the same language or have the same values or sharing the same ideas or holidays. And open yourself to your neighbors, to people at the drop-off pickup line, at school, at events. Introduce yourself. And try to get more people to just to know more people. It's something that will help you get connected. I know that it's hard to do play dates now during COVID, but if you go to the playground at school after school, you'll find a lot of people there. So this is one of the options that you can do, or go to the local, the community playground and introduce yourself. If you don't understand what's happening at school, if you have questions, if there are things that you need to do and you don't know what to do or how to do it, email the teacher. In this area, teachers prefer that you'll connect with them by email because it's easier for them, and they're able to see the emails before school or after school. So this is the preferable way to connect with your teacher or the counselor. So ask them questions, requests, concerns, share about your culture and how in your culture maybe schools is different, so they'll know what to expect and how to help your child. When you get emails from teachers, from school, from the district and PTSA, read the emails. I know it's a lot. I know sometimes they send really a lot of emails and a lot of content, but it's important to read them because you'll get more acclimated by reading them. You'll feel more connected by understanding things, and you'll get a lot of information out of the emails. So I really invite you to read the emails. If they have events that they're sharing in the email, add them to your calendar. This way, it will be, you'll know that you can remember them and attend the events. During moving to the area, during their adjustment to the area and all the things that you're buying and all the things that you need to get used to, one of the things that we forget is to take care of ourselves and to do fun things with the family. So have at least, you have weekend here are 2 days. So Saturday or Sunday, do some fun family time. Something that you can do. It doesn't have to be big things, but just to make sure that you are connected as a family While the weather is nice, you can join and walk outside and do hikes here in the area, because for sure winter is coming. And take care of yourself. Get enough sleep, exercise, nutrition. It's really important. More tips that I wanted to share with you is to be patient with yourself. Remember that the adjustment, remember the culture shock diagram, it takes time. So be patient. Eventually things will get better. Eventually you'll understand more, but it's just going to take time, and you just need to be patient and look at it as this is an adventure. Remember why you moved to the area. What are the things that because of them you moved to the area? What are the things that you're happy about when you're thinking about this area? And you can even write a gratitude journal just to write yourself what are you happy with. Try to celebrate small achievements. A small achievement can be going to a store and really asking for what you need. Because we know that sometimes it's hard. You wanted to make a cake and you forget how an ingredient is. How do you say it in English? So sometimes that's happened. So really, when you are overcoming your challenge, celebrate the small achievement. Ask questions, seek advice, reach out to Ptsa, as Yumna said, reach out to your teachers, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to Facebook. Facebook groups are a great way to get information. For example, I have high schooler, and in the high school parents Facebook, one of the parents said, "Can you explain about the homecoming? Because I'm not from this country and I don't understand what is homecoming. What do I need to expect? How can we get prepared for this?" So just ask questions and people will be happy to answer. And use your sense of humor. Try to use your sense of humor and to make you laugh of yourself. I can share about me, for example. I created my own American social book. So when people are saying, "How are you?" they actually mean, "Hello." When people are saying, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you," they actually say, "Hi." When people are saying, "I'll think about it," they thought about it and the answer is no. When they say, "Let's hang out sometimes," goodbye, don't expect to hear from me. That's actually what they mean. So when they say it's an interesting idea, expect to know that they don't like the idea. When they say it's a great idea, but they actually mean it's not a great idea. When they say, "Call me sometimes," what they actually mean, don't call me for any reason, ever. When they say it's a piece of cake, they actually mean it's easy. When they say, "He's my friend," they say, "Ah, I know him." When they say, "He's my best friend," they actually say, "I know him and I enjoy spending time with him." When you don't know what to say, and that's something that happened, right? We don't know what to say to people that we just know. Just talk about the weather. This is a great way to start a conversation. And if you don't understand what they're saying, there are a few things that you can do. You can say, "I don't have a pen with me. Can you please send me a text or email me the information?" Or you can say, "I cannot hear you clearly. Can you please repeat that again?" Or you can say, "How do you spell it?" So there are ways that we can overcome the challenges, and we can use humor while we're adjusting. If you are from a country that English is not the first language, there are a few things that I wanted to say to you. Be proud of being multilingual. Be proud of knowing 2 languages. I work with many internationals, and many of them are starting by saying, "My English is not good." Don't do that. be proud of yourself, because you moved to an area when English is not your first language and you talk really good. Think about people who are, they know just English and they move to your country. What will happen? How are they going to struggle? So your English is really good. You can improve it. And there are a few things that you can improve, but don't look at yourself as less. Don't be as this picture, the cat that hide and don't open up and don't share and don't talk. Just talk, even if you make mistakes. People are still understanding you, and that's the most important things, because we know by practicing we can get better. So there are a few things here. If you want, you can take up just a screenshot of this, or you can watch the video later on. You can find this welcome event video in Lake Washington School District under welcome event. So just go and watch it again and write yourself the websites. There is one topic that I want to talk, and that's spams and scams. So moving to this area, there are a lot of good things in this area, but there are a lot of things that people who are moving from out of this country need to understand, because there is some downside that by moving to United States, and one of them is spams. Getting a spam message, it's easy to avoid it. And one of the things that you can do is when you get a spam message, to write the word stop. And in many cases, you'll get an automatic reply that you're successfully been unsubscribed. So try that. There are ways to try and avoid getting less spam by the mailbox. And I really want to encourage you to look at that in Google, because there is really a good list of things that you can do. But because we don't have a lot of time, I want to make sure to cover the scams. I think this is one of the things that is really important. And scams can be done by phone, by text, or email, and they designed to trick you into giving money or sharing personal information that can be used to steal money or to steal identity. And there are 4 signs of scam. Scammers pretend to be part of an organization that you know. They're from the IRS, from government, from Social Security Department, immigration. They may say that they're from a charity, from Ptsa. We know that we have scams related to that, from different organizations, from cable company, from all the companies that you may think about. They're really smart. So they may pretend that they are from this organization, and they'll say to you that you have a problem or you want something. They'll want you to act quickly. They don't want you to think. They don't want you really to think, because if you're going to think, take your time to think, you're going to realize that something is going on, but maybe it's not legit. So they may threaten to arrest you or to sue you, or to take away your drivers, or you may lose this prize if you're not acting quickly. And the next step that they'll ask is they'll ask you to pay, and they'll ask to pay from in a specific way. And I'm going to talk about how to avoid them, these steps, and what are the things that you can do. So don't give any personal or financial information in response to a request that you did not expect. Don't give social security number, bank account, your date, your birth date, address, any information. And resist the pressure to act immediately. Legitimate business will give you time to make a decision. So if they tell you that you need to act now, pause. Do the opposite. Never pay someone who insists that you pay with a gift card or by using a money transfer service. And never deposit a check and send the money back to someone. This is another trick. They say, I'll send you the check and just and send us the money. But that's actually, it's not when you'll try to deposit the check, nothing will happen. You're not going to see your money in these cases. If you think that the message or the call is real, or it may be real, contact the company using the phone number or website that you know that is real. Go to Google, search the name of the company and call them. Or if you have letters from them, look at the phone numbers and call them. Stop and talk to someone you trust. This is another thing that you can do. Before you take any steps, tell someone about what happened. A friend, family member, neighbor, even I found even on Facebook, neighboring Facebook, or people are writing about it and people are sharing if it's a scam or not. Talking about it will help you realize if it's a scam. One more thing that I wanted to share is about online scams. And that's something that also can happen. Double check the domain name in the address bar, if that's legit. For example, here, someone uses Yahoo as a scam, but they use 0 instead of O's. A simple online search for the company reviews will tell you a lot about the business. For example, they're saying that they're going to sell something really 80% off. Go and check. Don't click on the link. Go and look at the bar on the top. What is the name of the company? Search it on Google and see. Validate the site by Google Safe Browser. Transparency report. This is a great way. You just click the URL and they'll tell you if it's legit or not. How can you get to know better the area? This is one more thing that I wanted to share. When you do trips during school breaks, plan ahead of time. People here are planning ahead of time for trips, even a year ahead of time. So Lake Water School District has a calendar at glance. It's a year of calendar that you can see where we have vacations. Look at them and then plan your breaks. Remember that with COVID, if you're going out of the country, there are protocols that you need to follow, and you can find them in Lake Washington School District website. If you don't know where to hike, there are great websites and apps, All Trails and WTA, that will help you find hikes and easy, moderate, or hard hikes. If you like camping, you have also a website for that. So over here, again, just take a screenshot of this slide that will allow you to get to know the area. If you have a 4th grader, you can get the America the Beautiful Pass. This is a pass that is valid for all the national parks across the United States, and it's free. It's usually cost $80. And you can just go to the website that is mentioned on the bottom of this slide and write your kid's name, and they're from 4th grade, and you'll get the pass you can just download it and print it, and it's good from September this year until August, the end of August. There are a few things that I wanted to mention here, and again, we don't have a lot of time, and I want to respect your time and to give the other presenters time to share. One of the things that it's important to understand is about the holidays and the reason behind it. There are a lot of things that are happening, and because you don't know why they're happening and you don't understand them, you feel frustrated. So if there is something that is happening, ask what is think about the values, think about what is standing behind it, what is the reason for it. So over here I shared the American dates, the important American dates, just to understand. You don't have to celebrate the holidays if you don't are comfortable with it, but understanding will help you get to know your friends, know your neighbors, know what to do. So just take a picture here of this slide and the next slide. I'll just going to mention that October 31st is Halloween, and kids are dressing with costumes and they're walking from house to house, and they're usually knock at the door and say trick or treat, and they get a candy. So you can, in Halloween, you can have a bowl of candy. If you go to grocery stores, you'll find huge bags of candies. This is a great way to know neighbors, to know your neighbors, to walk with them. Obviously, people will walk with masks, and they're going to hopefully make sure that to stand apart from each other, but we can still celebrate the holidays. I'll finish by one thing to remember. Remember that communication runs both ways, and share about your culture as well. We all learn from each other, and I welcome you to open up and to share about your culture. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll stop sharing here.
Thank you, Dr. Ehrlich. I love hearing your book of phrases and how they're translated into English. Thank you.
Thank you.
Probably very helpful. Thank you for joining us tonight. So everybody else, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. If you could come back, well, let's do a 3-minute break at 7:05 for the next portion of our presentation, and we will see you then. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for coming and joining the second part of our presentation for tonight. Welcoming new and international families. We're very happy you can join us. So this next portion of the session will be a panel portion. You'll hear from a few different members of staff from the Lake Washington School District, and then we will have an opportunity for some questions and answers. So up first, we will be hearing from Dr. Matt Livingston. He's the Director of Secondary Education for the Juanita and Lake Washington Learning Communities. And we will also be hearing from Suzanne Sullivan, who is the Director of Elementary Education for the East Lake and Redmond Learning Communities. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, good evening. So tonight, Matt and I will be providing a brief overview for you of the elementary and secondary schools in our district. And as you can see on the slide, we're organized into 4 regional feeder patterns: East Lake, Redmond, Juanita, and Lake Washington. Our students progress from elementary school through middle school into high school within this regional feeder pattern. So if you take a look and see what school your student goes to, you can follow along and see their path through our school district.
All right, so based on the address of where you live, you'll have a neighborhood school that's assigned to you. The good news is you're guaranteed a spot at that school, and as Sue-Ann mentioned on the previous slide, that elementary school would feed into your neighborhood middle school and then feed into your neighborhood high school. We do have a process called the variance process that would allow you to apply for a school that is not your neighborhood school. One thing to know about that is our district is growing each year, and so the space that's available in each of our schools has gone down considerably over the last 10 years. So every year we post a list of open and closed schools on the website, and that would be a way for you to look and see if there's any openings in any schools that are outside of your neighborhood. And if there is an opening or an open school, then you can apply for a variance to attend that other school. Another set of schools aside from the neighborhood pathways are our choice schools. And our choice schools are at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. And each of the choice schools has a specific theme that's part of their curriculum and their program. The choice schools are open to any student as long as they live within the Lake Washington School District boundary. There's a lottery application process that happens every year, usually in January. That information will be posted on the website later in the fall. So that's another set of schools that are available to attend.
So in our elementary schools, we serve over 15,000 students in 33 schools, 5 of which are choice schools. And the goals of our elementary schools are basically to provide a safe and positive, welcoming environment for our students, to develop their academic, social, and emotional skills, and to provide students with a very strong foundation for their educational journey. Instruction at each level in our school district is designed to provide success for students of that age and to prepare them to be successful as they continue their journey into the next stage. In elementary school, kindergarten sets the stage for a student's academic career. And then at each grade, academic standards guide the curriculum and learning of all students. You can find lots of good detailed information about our teaching and learning curriculum on our website.
So our secondary schools are our middle schools and high schools, and so that's grades 6 through 12. And one of the purposes of our secondary schools is to continue that foundation that we've set for your students in elementary school. So it's continuing that safe and positive, welcoming environment for students. We know that they perform best and learn the most when they feel welcome and supported and part of the school community. So that's a focus at all of our schools. As they enter middle school, we start to focus on what are their interests and what might be potential career paths that students might want to pursue or continue learning about after high school. So there's considerable effort put in with what we call our high school and beyond plan, which is connecting with students and helping them to design a plan and a pathway through high school. So they take classes that are geared towards their interests and help them to be along the pathway of the goals that they've set for themselves for after high school, whether that be college or the workforce or some trades, schools or opportunities like that. Without a doubt, our goal is to graduate 100% of our students, and that is a goal that is front and center at every school. We have 21 secondary schools, 10 of which are choice schools, and we have about 15,000 students as well at the secondary level.
So we wanted to give you an idea of the composition of the staff that you will find in each of our schools. As you can see, each school has many, many staff members in many different roles. They all collaborate and work together every day to support students and families. And although they may be doing different jobs, the focus of everybody on the school staff is the same: to support student academic growth, to support social emotional well-being, and the health and safety of all of our students.
As you have your child in our schools, there might be times when you have questions, and there might be times when you have concerns. And so we want to make sure that we give you some strategies so you know the best ways to handle those concerns if they come up. We believe the most effective way to support your student and to have your concerns addressed is with the person that you have the concern with. So if that's at the classroom level, we would hope that you would reach out to the teacher and set up a meeting and ask your questions and share your concerns and give that teacher a chance to hear those and to come up with a plan and partner with you to alleviate those concerns. If that doesn't happen, if that doesn't work, then you should reach out to the principal of the school and share your concerns with them. And they're in a real good position to partner with you and the teacher to see what solutions you can come up with as a team and help your student. We here at the district level are also here to support, and if the concern is still not alleviated after you've spoken to the principal, by all means, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. Also know that if you start with us and we are the first people you call, we will probably ask you, have you spoken to the teacher or have you spoken to the principal? And if the answer is no, we will encourage you to do that because that is that's the place that it's easiest usually to find a solution. I think that concludes our part of this presentation. We'll be around for the Q&A towards the end if you have questions for us.
Yeah, thank you for your time and attention.
So it looks like our next presenter is having a little bit of difficulty. So I'm going to just go ahead and see if Danita, can you start your portion of the presentation?
I certainly can. Is my slide deck up? Awesome, there we go. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Danita Remus. I'm the Director of College and Career Readiness, and I'm excited to be able to talk to you tonight. I'm going to give you a 30,000-foot level. That's a high level or overview of the program of College and Career Readiness and the programs that we offer. So I'd like to start off with our mission statement, and that is to provide opportunities for every student to access rigorous and relevant career-connected learning that prepares them for post-secondary success and access to high skill, high wage, and in-demand jobs. Next. So I wanted to make available to you, because I know this is being recorded and you can reference back to this, but this is our entire department. So myself and the specialist, our support people, and then on to that is our WANIC Skill Center staff as well. So I wanted to point out that the Lake Washington School District Strategic Plan clearly calls out career, technical, and college pathways. This is very important because the Lake Washington School District felt that it was critical to the mission of the district to make sure that our students are career and future ready. So an overview of the department includes categories of career and technical education, or CTE, as is commonly referred to, and the courses include for grades 7 through 12, all of our current technical education courses, which again focus on high demand, high wage, or STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics courses. Graduate available to students. This is a fairly new legislatively passed opportunity for students. They can also in that pathway earn dual college credit. I'll speak a little bit more about that later. Industry recognized credentials and credit equivalencies for other academic core strands. Secondary CTE in science, technology, engineering, and math. Then also the high school and beyond plan, which Matt referred to earlier. It applies to grades 6 through 12, and it is a graduation pathway and post-secondary planning tool that we use through our Zello platform. So your students will be accessing that as soon as they reach grade 6, and then continuing on through grade 12. The high school and beyond plan coordinators are in each of the high schools, and they help to facilitate this process for your students. We also have our also have our career-connected learning, and that is the work-based learning where the students can go out and they can receive credit for actually completing work done outside of the classroom. We offer job shadows, internships, and even apprenticeships in certain cases. And we also have career specialists that help to facilitate this process in each of our comprehensive high schools in the district. So in career and technical education, we're all about connecting learning to earning. So in the next attending a CTE course, and what do CTE courses offer your students? Next. So career and technical education courses in the Lake Washington School District, we have a wide variety. Everything from AP Computer Science, Microsoft Office Specialist, Personal Finance, AP Stats, Business Law, Marketing, Community Emergency Response Team, Forensic Science,
architecture, engineering, game design, and many more. It's our job to think toward the future for your students. Construction, project management, engineering, architecture, green sustainable design, material science, applied design. Urban agriculture, computer science, sustainable engineering, environmental science, business, entrepreneurship, culinary arts, and food sciences. Engineering, manufacturing, computer science, material science, business, and automotive. Medical careers, anatomy, physiology, biotechnology, dental careers, health sciences, sports medicine, American Sign Language, psychology, child development, engineering, and computer science. Again, automotive, computer science, engineering, business, material science, entrepreneurship, and project management. You can see that a lot of these careers overlap one another, and we have many, many more that I was not able to put onto the slides, but I just wanted to give you a flavor in the fact that what we in current technical education look for is not only what we can offer your students today, but what we can help them to train for their futures. So the benefits of current technical education include, and I won't read all of this specifically, but they prepare students to be college and career ready. College and career ready. They also offer dual college credit equivalency, meeting 2 graduation requirements by attending 1 career and technical education course. They offer clear pathways to state and nationally recognized industry certifications and postal credits. We also have partnerships with business, industry, and community stakeholders that prepare our students for tomorrow's workforce. I also wanted to include information on the WANIC Skill Center. WANIC stands for the Washington Network of Innovative Careers. We're very fortunate to have a skill center right here in our district. The WANIC Skill Center is a continuum of the CTE training and employment preparation for identified career fields for our students in grades 11 and 12. It is located at the Washington Institute of Technology, and it serves 8 surrounding school districts in our consortium, including Bellevue, Everett, Issaquah, Lake Washington, Mercer Island, North Shore, Riverview, and Snoqualmie Valley. Courses at the main WANIC campus and satellite consortium district locations are located at the DigiPen Institute of Technology and other surrounding districts. You can visit all of that and get all of that information if you visit the website for WANIC. We also offer summer courses there, and that starts in grades 9 and goes through grades 12. So if you want more information on WANIC or any of the other career and technical education courses or the Career and College Readiness Department, please just visit the Lake Washington website, and there are links to all of those things. I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end of the session. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time. And I believe it is my pleasure to introduce Shannon Hitch, our Executive Director of Special Services, who should be up next.
Thanks, Danita. I always hate going after you and your programs because they always look so exciting and interesting. So welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Shannon Hitch. I am the Executive Director for Special Services within Lake Washington School District. And I would draw your attention first to the picture on your screen because actually this is a wonderful partnership between Special Services and our students involved in career and tech ed classes. So this is one of our students in our early childhood program, and we had a grant last year that gave us the opportunity to have some of our high school students do some engineering on some accessible vehicles for our preschoolers, and then had a wonderful time watching these little ones have access and zooming around their preschool campus. And so it was a wonderful partnership for us. But Special Services oversees a variety of programs within our district. We support students with disabilities who are in special education or perhaps have 504 plans. We also provide early learning services to students in our community, and we also oversee health services, so school nursing, and this past year, some of the COVID response as well. You can go ahead and move us ahead, Shannon. So this is our team, and when you have the opportunity, the names on our team actually have links to emails so that you're able to reach any of these individuals should you be interested. So in our team, we have 5 directors that support the different regions, and they are aligned to the level directors that you met earlier this evening, Matt and Sue Ann. They work as partners to support our buildings and to meet the needs of our principals, our staff, and our students. So we have 2 elementary directors and we have 2 secondary directors. And then Kim Brenner is the director over our early learning programs. And she's also the administrator on site at Old Redmond Schoolhouse, which is the newest building to open here in Lake Washington. And it is a magical place with 10 early childhood classrooms in a very old historic building in downtown Redmond. And then we also have on our team Dr. Keandra Thompson, and she is our health services manager who supervises and trains all of our district nurses. All right, you can pop us. There you go. Okay, so some of the services and programs that we support across the district would be preschool and early learning. And within that model, we support Head Start programs for families who are low income or are in poverty who need supportive preschool for their students. We also have a tuition-based preschool program where any child in our community can sign up to go to one of our preschool programs. We also offer a consultant teacher who can work with students in community preschools. And then we also offer our special education preschool programs for our youngest learners at not only Old Redmond Schoolhouse, but in some elementary schools across our district. We provide a full continuum of services to students with disabilities. Our first and foremost goal is to keep children in general education classes as much as possible, but some of our children need additional supports that might be provided by special education teachers or by therapists, such as speech and language therapists or physical therapists. So we offer supports in neighborhood schools and in some center-based programs, depending on what a child's needs are. We have 2 transition academies that serve our children who are between the ages of 18 and 21, children with significant disabilities who require some supportive transitions from school to work. And those programs are deeply embedded in the community, with students going and engaging in job internships, as well as learning functional life skills to help them be independent and employed once they leave our school system. We do provide, like I shared before, a variety of therapy services, including speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. We have vision teachers, braillists, deaf and hard of hearing staff, as well as mental health practitioners. And these individuals support students who qualify for special education. We also very much are invested in supporting and developing the skills in our staff, and that staff has some different specialists who are there to support the work in our schools. So we have some teachers on special assignment, some behavioral specialists, we call them BCBAs, and then we also have some behavioral mental health specialists as well. If you have a child and you're concerned about their learning, you're concerned about their mental health, or concerned about how they're doing in school, We have school psychologists who complete referrals and evaluations for special services and for 504 plans. And so that is a support that we offer in the community, as well as health services. So helping families navigate immunization requirements. If the child has a health condition like diabetes or a seizure disorder, we develop health plans. We're working on COVID responses in terms of contact tracing and testing for COVID. And then our district nurses are there supporting students and families in our schools. Right, next slide. So if you need help and you need to find some place to get some support, we are there to help you. So one of the things that you can do is you can contact your child's school and ask for the school psychologist. That's the person that you'll turn to if you want to make a referral for testing, if you want to have someone problem solve with you with your child's academics or behavior needs, or if your child receives services in another district or in another country, they can help you with the transfer process. We can provide copies. We ask that families, if you are transferring from another district or from another country, if you can provide us with copies of your child's evaluation reports and IEPs, it will facilitate the process and help us move quickly in getting them the supports they need. If you have a little one who needs evaluation or support or services, we have a child find office that handles all of our referrals, assessments, and transfers for preschool, and that link is in this presentation. Or if you have a child between the ages of birth to 3 years old and they need support, we have agencies in our community that provide those services and therapies. And the one that we partner with is Kindering Center, and their contact link is in that note there. You have every right to request an interpreter in any meeting at school or in any conversation with a school provider. And so we are happy to provide interpreters whenever needed, as well as any accommodations that a family might need to access our buildings or our services. We do have a web page on the district website that's specific to special services where you can find additional information and is a great source of info about all the services and programs in our district. If you have a child with a health issue, if they have medications they need to take at school, if you have questions about their immunizations, if they have medical needs like diabetes, you can reach out to your building nurse who will help you develop health plans, and their contact information is on the district website, or you can simply ask at your child's school. And then you can also follow that chain of ladder of support that Matt and Sue Ann referred to at the beginning of the presentation. If you are needing to ask questions or find additional supports based on your experiences in a school, we would ask that you start with your child's team, your child's special education teacher, and the building principal. But if concerns continue or you need additional supports, we ask that you reach out to the special education directors in our department, and we are there to help when needed. And that is the end of mine. And do you want me to turn this back to Becky or move it on to Johnny?
Johnny is up next.
All right, take it away, Johnny.
Good evening and welcome. I hope that you're having a good transition to our country and also to our community. I myself am a child of an immigrant. My family is from Vietnam, and so many of the things that your child will be experiencing this year, I had the pleasure of also experiencing growing up as well. And so because of that, that has kind of steered me towards some of the work that I do and the reason why I do it. And Denise, thank you so much for the social book. I wish my parents had that, because that would have been extremely helpful for my parents as well. So thank you so much for your part of this, because it's really important. I'm the Director of Student Services, and this is a part of our mission and vision. And these are the 3 things that we focus on each and every day in the work that we do. We want to ensure that your child feels like they matter. And when they come to school, that it's not just knowing them by their name, but really understanding what their aspirations are. And one of our missions is to make sure that we're graduating our students prepare for the world and their careers. And a part of that is understanding what your child's aspiration is and really cultivating that. The second piece is making sure that your child feels like they belong. And belonging it can be very difficult, especially if you're coming from a different country and thinking about the support networks that you have. And so we really think about, how can your child contribute? What are the opportunities that your child can contribute and bring their strengths to the table, bring their backgrounds, their history, their understanding, their backgrounds, that can really lend itself to a better community, a school community. And then finally, safe. Make sure that your child feels psychologically safe, that we're responsible for each other. And we really lean on these 3 pillars to think about the work that we do around social emotional learning, as well as our behavior support and our mental health services. The social emotional learning is a way for us to develop skills around how do we interact, how do we problem solve, how do we communicate with one another on a daily basis, how do we navigate that in our social context and environment, as well as how do we develop our own skills to be able to manage some of the challenging pieces in life. And one of it may be what their experience right now of being in a different country and having new customs. How do they navigate? How do they ask questions? How do they seek for help? And these are some of the skills that we teach through K through 12 and try to do as well as possible. Next slide, Shannon. And this work doesn't operate in a silo. We have a team of 5 specialists that without their work on a daily basis, we wouldn't be able to provide these supports for schools. And here are 5 amazing coaches that really help and support the work on a daily basis and keeps their ears to the ground as we think about responding to our student needs on a daily basis. Thank you, Shannon. Next. And one way that we conceptualize this work or think about this work, it isn't just Lake Washington School District, it's really the partners that we bring together to ensure that your child is feeling supported at school and as a district and as a community. In our department, we partner with various agencies and groups to ensure that we are responsive to our student needs, but as well as what is our community needs. And we know that these 2 go hand in hand. A safe community also results in a safe school community, results in students feeling like they can engage and learn. So our work is really make sure that we're making connections between school, community, and home. And you will see this at various buildings where we have specific partners that work together with the school to connect home, bridge the home and school piece, or we just are partnering with cities to increase awareness as well as increase access to services within our community. That's a quick nutshell of what we do here in the Student Services Department. The other pieces that we also look into is discipline. Sometimes things happen at school, and a part of the Student Services Department is that if there is a concern around discipline, please go to your principal first and address it with them. If you are unable to get to a good place with the principal, that's where I would come in and could help mitigate some of those pieces, as well as the harassment, intimidation, bullying compliance officer. And that's quickly my portion. I know that you guys have gotten a lot of information. There's more on our Student Services website if you're interested in that. I'm going to be passing this off to our amazing Director of Accelerated Programs, Becky Kaderman. And Becky, hopefully your technology is working now.
Doesn't look like Becky's able to join us right at this moment. Let's go ahead and we'll open the Q&A. So there's on your site, you should see some bubbles that say have a little question mark on them. If you have a question, why don't you go ahead and post it in that live event Q&A, and we will start answering questions. Okay, there's no questions coming in. Oh, Angela, thank you for your question. We did, because we're having some technical difficulties getting the director on our line, so we did skip over the highly capable programs. We will come back to it if she comes back on. So we'll give it just a couple more minutes of wait time just to see if any other questions come in. Okay, we had a question about will you send a copy of the presentation out? The presentation will be posted, the entire video will be posted on the district website under For Students and Families, and then Welcome Event. So later this week, the whole presentation will be posted there. Another question came in that says, we just moved to the US and my child's a junior in high school. Are we too late for Running Start and WANIC programs?
Do you want me to take that one, Shannon?
That'd be great. Thank you.
I can answer the WANIC portion of it, and I think Johnny's on board for the Running Start. So for the WANIC, if your student is currently an incoming junior, no, you are not too late. WANIC is open to juniors and seniors. So I would encourage you to contact WANIC directly, and they can help you with that process and figure that out for you.
And it's not too late for Running Start. That's a process that you will need to go through your child's school counselor. It's there's forms that you'll need to sign off on, as well as some other eligibility pieces as well. So please connect with your child's school counselor, and they can walk you through the Running Start process.
Shannon, I made it in if you want to go to my slides. Hi, everybody. This is Becky Kaderman. Sorry about my technology issues tonight. Teams and I have been having a few issues. I am the director of the Highly Capable program. I'm actually the director of Accelerated Programs, which means we oversee a variety of different accelerated options for students in K-12. But tonight I've been asked to speak directly or speak to our highly capable programming here in Lake Washington. I want to welcome you and apologize for the inconvenience that I've caused throughout this. I am going to give Shannon just a moment to hopefully pull up the slide deck. But here in Lake Washington, we have a variety of different options for our students that are identified as highly capable. We have programming. Yeah, great, thank you. If you go to the next slide. On this slide, you'll see, whoops. We have a team of folks that help support the work for our students. The team includes a administrative supervisor and then 3 instructional specialists and then some administrative professionals. We also have our own school psych that works with our department to help with the identification process of our students. Next slide. And here you can see 2 of our, we have added 2 instructional specialists this year, which I'm really excited about because we have a very large student population that we support. Our instructional specialists also support the classroom teachers
and the building administrators in addressing these unique needs of our highly capable students. The additional staff has allowed us to support K-12 instruction, which we're really excited about. Next slide. In Lake Washington, we have a continuum of service for highly capable programming, and I'm going to walk you through a brief overview of each of these areas. So in elementary, we have 3 different services. The first service is our K-5HC. It is for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. We serve the students at their home elementary school, and they receive 30 minutes of small group instruction in math and or reading, depending on what they've qualified for. The next service is what we call Pull-Out Quest. Pull-Out Quest is 1 day per week. We have 5 Pull-Out Quest sites. During that day, they are focusing on the 4 C's, which we really focus on collaboration and critical thinking and communication with our highly capable students. They are working on project-based learning. It is an enrichment day for them. They are going deep and working hard on some of the key concepts of our national gifted standards. This is not a replacement for the school day. It is an enrichment, so it is not the general content. The third elementary program we have is called Full-Time Quest. We have Full-Time Quest at 11 of our elementary schools. Students that qualify for Full-Time Quest, and both the Pull-Out and Full-Time are in grades 2 through 5. So those students who qualify for Full-Time Quest will attend a Full-Time Quest school. They are grouped together with other students that qualify for this program. They receive accelerated instruction in math and reading, 1 grade level higher, and then they are at grade level content in the other areas. They also, because we are focusing on the highly capable standards that they are working on, and also their unique needs, we are able to compact and accelerate our content in order to go deeper and provide a more rich environment for those students and meet their very unique student needs. Middle school students that qualify for our Full-Time Quest program would attend one of our 4 middle school Quest sites. When they are when they transition to middle school in 6th grade, they will be grouped with other middle school Quest students in math, science, English language arts, and social studies. When they move to 7th and 8th grade, they then transition to just having English language arts, science, and social studies with this same group of students. And then math placement is determined by the math pathways that we use within all of our buildings. As our students then move to high school, they maintain their gifted eligibility and they are able to access honors and AP course enrollment at our high schools and have a reduced restrictions as far as requirements in order to attend those courses. Next slide. So the next piece is if you're interested in these programs, how does your student get into one of them? So we are currently in what we call our application window. It actually closes on Friday at 4 o'clock. So I encourage, if you're interested, you'll need to go online and apply. We have an online application on our webpage. And if you need additional support, there's information there on who to call or who to email in order to apply. In order to apply for our eligibility process, you need to be living in the Lake Washington School District boundaries during the application window. Next. So important links. So go to our website, click on the Programs and Services tab, and then choose Accelerated Programs. And if you need a paper application, or you need something translated, or if you need supports in any way, please contact my team and they will definitely help you. Next slide. once we have our application window closed, we will then go through a couple of different stages for the eligibility process. The first one is what we call screening, and all of our students this year are being screened through the FastBridge assessment, which is being given in the classrooms in our elementary schools and also in the online school. If it is a private school student or someone who's homeschooling and doesn't, we will be providing access for the FastBridge assessment in October. Students who meet the eligibility criteria for screening will then be invited to move into the remainder of the assessment process. We use a body of evidence, which means multiple data points in order to determine eligibility per state law. We use a we use a cognitive assessment, which could be either COGAT or what we call the NNAT or the Naglieri. And then they will take one of those two assessments, and then they will take, we've already taken the FastBridge, and then we will move them into what we call the Iowa, which is for reading and math. Additional data that we will includes state assessments such as SBA, which is coming up now, ELPA, which is also called WIDA, which is for multilingual students. WAKIDS is a kindergarten state assessment, and then we have the option to also utilize Renzulli scales of creativity. It's important to note that we do not use report cards as part of the eligibility process. It is actually part of the state law that we do not do so. And if you're interested in the thresholds or the scores, the percentile scores that a student would need in order to get into the different programs, you will find them on our accelerated programs website. Next slide. If you have additional questions and you don't know quite what to do, the first thing I suggest you do is head to the website. We have our webpage loaded with information by each grade level. We also have a frequently asked questions tab on for each of our areas. If you have questions that are unique to your student, then I encourage you to reach out to my staff via our email, which is quest@lwsd.org, or to give our office a call, and the number is listed there. I will state that our phones are pretty busy right now as the application window is open, and I encourage you to email because I have 3 people that can respond to those emails very quickly versus the phone, which is just 1 line. So with that, I look forward to working with all of you, and welcome to Lake Washington School District.
All right, I think that about wraps our questions. There's one last one. Becky, I think it's really intended for you. How is it decided who takes honors courses in high school if they're not at a public middle school?
So once again, honors courses you will see in the course catalogs. There may be pathway requirements for students. So, and what that means is, for example, a student would not take a Algebra 2 without taking Algebra 1. That's an example of a pathway requirement. So if students are identified as highly capable and they want to take an honors course, that is an option that they automatically have. They work, but all students would work with their counselor to determine if it is a good fit for them to be taking honors courses.
Great, thank you. So that concludes our questions that we have currently in the documents here. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email communications@lwsd.org. I'll make a quick announcement on the Q&A page with that. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Brandy.
Well, thank you, Shannon. And thank you to everyone who has joined us tonight as participants, as panelists, sharing the information about your divisions and your organization. And thank you to everybody who attended tonight. If you have other questions that you'd like to ask, as Shannon said, please send an email to communications@lwsd.org. And I believe that we're done for this evening. Thank you everyone for coming.